I'm going to do another video here on modifying the Q4 harness for the Lightning. The last video I did was about how to extend the comma harness. Since then we figured out how you could make an extension harness so you don't actually have to cut up your factory comma harness, which is good because they're fragile, and some people have damaged theirs trying to modify it, and of course you can't get your money back if you damage it modifying it. So this way you won't have to modify your harness at all. I'll probably even delete the old video. There'll be a shopping list in the description of all the stuff you need, but basically you need 2 of these white connectors, which are the ones that plug into the harness box, and then you need this one black one, which is actually what's in the harness box that they make too. Now you need at least 2 of the white ones and 1 of the black ones, but these things are not expensive. They're less than $2 each, and shipping is $7. So I always buy at least twice what I need, because if you wind up messing up and needing one more of these $1.20 connectors, you're going to pay $8.20 because they're $7 minimum shipping. And then these are the pins. You'll need lots of them. You need 12, 24 of them at least, so I'd buy 50. And then you'll need some crimpers. I'll link those as well. These are some fairly cheap crimpers that'll work with these pins. So I don't have a spare Q4 harness right now. They're all in the mail, either going out to someone or coming back to me, but this is the plug that comes out of the Q4 harness. Normally you'd have the 2 black boxes that connect to the IPMA down here, and then this connects to the harness box. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an extension so that you'll have your regular comma Y-shaped box or harness. You'll plug this 8-foot, 9-foot extension in, and then plug in your harness box. So the first thing we're going to make is the part that actually plugs into the harness box, and so it will have the exact same pin out as the comma white plug. So when you look at your comma, you unplug your harness box, you've got that white plug, you're going to want the exact same pin out as that. The only exception is the 4 extra loop back wires, which I've already cut off of this one. You won't need those. So there's 2 purples on the outside, inside of that is yellows, just inside of that is white, and just inside of that is gray. So a total of 8 wires, 2 purple, 2 yellow, 2 white, 2 gray. You won't need those in this pin. So the first thing you have to do is just take your roll of wire, go ahead and get one end out and strip it down, and then we're going to put the pins on it. And the one thing we have to remember is that 4 of these wires will have a resistor also attached with them. So the ones that get the resistor are the green, orange, the blue, and the pink. So we're going to go ahead and pull those out first and put pins and resistors on those. So I'll just bend everything but that 4 down, and we'll focus on those 4 for now. Now when you strip these wires, I don't know how well I can get it to focus, but you only need to strip about 2 millimeters off. These pins are very tiny, and you don't have to do a lot of stripping. And then what I did was, after I took my resistors and I put a little heat shrink on them so that the resistor isn't uncovered as it's in the harness. And so I'm just going to take and try to crimp the resistor and the wire into the pin. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to capture that on video, but I'll show it to you clearly when it's done, I hope. So there we go. Hopefully this focuses. Pin, resistor, wire, all crimped together. So that was the pink. The pink and the blue are the 2 wires that have a resistor between them. So Now that I've gotten the pink one done, that same resistor needs to get crimped into the blue wire. Alright, there we go. Pink and blue, resistor between them. The resistor and the wire are crimped into the pin. Give them a little tug and make sure they're in there good. I'm not going to go over how to use these double barrel crimpers. There's plenty of YouTube videos on that. You can look it up. Next we need to do the orange and the green the same way. And then after that, the rest of this project is really a piece of cake. Okay, green and orange done now. So now what I need to do is just go through, and the rest of these just need a pin on that end, and then all 12 need a pin on the other end. So we'll do that, we'll put it in fast forward, and then we'll come back, talk about the next step. Okay, everything's crimped and tipped. So what I'm going to do now, before I go any further, I'm going to check all my crimps and make sure they're good. I'm going to grab my multimeter. I'm going to put it on the continuity test, which is a test where it beeps when the probes have continuity between them. And I'm just going to check both ends of each color, so tan to tan, red to red, orange to orange, and make sure it beeps on every one of them so that I know that all my crimps are good. If I get one that doesn't beep, that means one of my tips is bad and I need to cut it off and replace it. Okay, everything ohmed out good, so what we have to do now is insert these in the same order as the stock comma connector, keeping in mind that mine's cut up, and it's always the end with the resistors. And the other thing to note is that there's two of every color, because what this does is it brings signals from the car up to the comma and then sends them back to the car. So you've got, if you're looking at the side with the tab on it that you could depress, you've got two halves and you've got the same color on every half. We're going to focus on the right side first. The right side is the side that gets the resistors. So the bottom back pin is black, so I'm going to grab my black pin. Now your wires may not be the exact same colors as mine depending on which wire you buy, but basically what's important is that you line them up with whatever you set them to be. So if I don't have a black wire but I have a blue with white stripe and I say that's going to be my black wire, then everywhere I connect my black wire I need to connect the blue with white stripe. Just depends on what colors you've got. But for me, I've got a black, so it goes on the back right. Those pins just push in, and if they won't snap, you can get a tiny electronic screwdriver and push on the metal. Try not to push on the wire, push on the metal of the pin to get it to snap in. Now that's the only wire that goes on the back. So next is the orange wire, and the orange and green are the two of the four that have a resistor across them, so we need to make sure that we get those. So the first is the orange. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting out of order here. That's the back. Coming to the front, the first one is a brown wire, so I'm going to put the brown wire in, and it doesn't want to go cleanly, so I'm just using a little electronic screwdriver to push it up in there and then give it a tug and make sure it stays. And then my orange. Oh, and my resistor came loose from my crimp, so I've got to redo that one. My green one's in good, my blue one's in, my pink one's in, but my orange one came out, so I got to recrimp this one. Okay, looks like it's good now. So next up is my orange wire. Followed by the green wire. Followed by pink wire, which is another wire with a resistor on it. So pink and blue and orange and yellow are our, pink and blue and orange and green are our can pairs. A little whisker of wire hanging off on that one I'm going to clean up. So pink and then blue. And that is the 6 wires for the right side of the harness. And now we have the 6 wires left for the left side of the harness. Now for my wire that I've got here, I only have one of each color. So I've already used the colors that match the comma harness for the right side. So on the left side I'll use something that's similar. So for brown I'll use tan. For black I'll use gray. For pink I'll use red. For purple I'll use blue. For yellow I'll use orange, and that'll leave white left over for green. So looking at the left side of the harness, the black one goes in on the far left. So I'll use my gray, followed by green, which I said would be white. And it doesn't matter what color you use, as long as you're consistent throughout your whole harness, you'll be good. Yeah, and then pink, which will be red. Blue is purple. Oh no, I got them out of order. Forgot to put my orange in. It should have been green and then orange, and I went green and then pink. So to get these out, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little tab right there. You kind of have to lift up on that tab using your screwdriver, and then get your screwdriver down on the pin and push it out a little bit, and then it'll slide out. And then take your screwdriver and push the tab back down so that it'll grab the next one when you put it in. So it's green, and then it should have been orange, which is yellow. And definitely give it a tug if you've already bent that tab up, and make sure it holds. So that one's still holding. So it was green, orange, and then blue, which is going to be purple. got pink, which is red. And last will be brown, which is tan. And then the two in the middle are blank. Alright, this all feels snug. Alright, so now we have to go down and make the other end. And how the other end is going to work is your comma one, your stock comma is going to plug into the black plastic. And then we're going to take this white one and gently set it down on top of those pins. And this is going to be the other end of our wire. So our wires, this is going to become a coupler. And so the key here is that when you do this, this plug is a mirror image of the one you just made. So it doesn't have the same pinout, it's actually a mirror image. Because what you need is for it to line up this way with your comma harness. So whereas, you know, what was the right side of the harness becomes the left side if you were to take it and flip it back normally. So I always work on it like this so that I can see what the stock colors are, and knowing that this over here, which is the right side, is the side that's got my resistors on it, and that was the side that I used for me the original colors on. So first is black on the bottom or back. Alright, so that is now the piece that connects right there. And now that those pins are in there, you could actually take this and stick it there, and you'll feel it grab and snap into place because those pins hold it. There's a little bit more we have to do to this end. This end is where we need to apply the loop backs. So the purple, yellow, white, and gray need to get looped back to itself. So just take you some short pieces of wire. I happen to be lucky enough to have the right colors in my strands. I have purple and gray and yellow and white. So I'm just going to strip both ends, put a pin on both ends, and then we'll loop them back. Okay, now I'm ready to put these jumpers in. So purple goes in the third from the left. And then it goes over to the fourth from the right. So now we're done with wiring. We just need to assemble. Alright, we're ready to assemble now. So what we need is the end with the loop backs and not the resistors. The black piece, which I put into the comma harness so that I make sure I got all my orientations right. Make sure you've got this proper mirrored orientation, and that what's on your right when you're looking this way is still what's on your right looking this way, because you want the resistors on the right side. And there's a little pin right here, a little nub. I don't think the other one I did had that, so that's probably just a manufacturing defect, but if yours has it, you want to just snip that off. Make sure everything fits nice and flush. That's what you want. Now we're just going to put a tiny dab of glue on each corner. Just a tiny bit. We don't want too much because we don't want to risk it getting on the pins and interfering with our connection. But we also want this thing to hold sturdy while we put it into an enclosure. And I like to use this accelerant because it makes the glue dry super fast and hold really well. Hold it in place for about 10 or 15 seconds and that accelerant will set up, and you'll be good to go. Of course I slipped while I was trying to adjust my grip. There we go, now it's good. Okay, now that we've got that, we want to put it in a little enclosure. This is a 3D printable box. I'll link the files on Thingiverse. You'll want to print this out of ASA or ABS since it's going in a car. Now this has an orientation to it. If you look at the black piece, it has a notch in it. And so does that. That has a raised edge that matches the notch, so it goes in just like that. So once again, we're going to use some glue just on the real nice flat piece of the black to hold all this together. Do that and put it in there. And then just take and glue your top on. That's all there is to it.